top hats and mutton shoes, erotic Kintas midnight cruise, Berlin Gay Society in 1903. Sigmund Freud's Vienna's hype identifies the homo type, the intermediate sex, and heterodoxy. The gay wave moves across the sea, hello there Miss Liberty. Betty Boop is hot and hooches out in the cold. Greenwich Village, Bloomsbury, gays in high society. Harlem Night, Chicago fights, Leopold and Lowell. Pride, gotta have pride. Better run too long to keep it inside. Pride gets it back and watch from the side. Pride is power and power is pride. It's time to celebrate all the colors of the rainbow. Get out into the streets, follow the tide.
Hi, I'm Brian McNaught, and this is Stonewall Portraits, Profiles, and Pride, a half-an-hour program in which we try to capture a little bit of the history of lesbian women, gay men, bisexual and transgender people who were involved in the early stages of our movement and who have contributed to our sense of identity. We're doing this in conjunction with the Stonewall National Museum and Archives in Fort Lauderdale. And today we're taking a look at early women's music. We're having a celebration in Provincetown this summer about early women's music, an ice cream social, and prior to that, one of the people who's going to be with us there and is here today to talk about the experiences of early women's music is Char Priolo, who was lead singer, one of the primary organizers, and the mother of the fabulous Dyke Tones, a women's group that began in 1977 in Portland, Oregon. So thank you for doing this, Char. You were out there early. Just to frame it for people, if I can, and I had to do a little research on this myself. But one of the earliest women singers, and this is the women's movement, early stages of the women's movement, was Maxine Feldman.
Yes.
And she was out in 1962, but started singing in 72, right?
Yes, early 70s.
Right, 72.
Yeah.
And then Olivia Records started in 73, which was the first women's music recording. Is that right?
Yes.
And then there was a group called Lavender Janes,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But and women's music was very important in the women's movement, was it not? I mean, it was, but it was sort of gave voice to women at a time in which there was no voice. Am I?
You're right on target. Yes, indeed it was. It wasn't as much in code as the Underground Railroad or anything like that, but what we gave, the culture we were carrying with the music, was saying the message, you can be you. You know, we know it's difficult.
So the message was early, and this was early.
Yeah.
77 was early.
Very
Because the
early.
movement really, modern movement didn't become started until 69, so you're only talking 8 years later.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
even prior to that, before the creation of the Dyke Tones, and then later named the Fabulous Dyke Tones, you were part of a gay men and lesbian choral group in Portland, Oregon?
Yes.
And when did that start?
Probably in the late, let's see, I moved there from the coast in 74. So soon thereafter, I would say by 76, we started putting that together.
Okay, so then right soon afterwards, you decided to form this group. And it was how many of you were you? How many women?
8.
8 of you.
Yeah.
And whose idea was it? Do you remember?
Oh, I do vividly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we used to meet at 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoons.
Who's we?
The Ursa Minor Choir.
Oh, the Ursa Minor Choir, yeah.
The woman whose music we sang was Naomi Little Bear. Her given name is Morena, but the name she took is Little Bear.
Native American woman who...
Yes,
Right.
she's part Mexican American, part Native.
Okay.
And so it was her music that we began singing on, and we created this choir.
Okay.
I was just one of the voices invited to be part of it. And she said, you know, we need a name And I guess I have this thing for naming. So, by the next week I came back and I said, well, since you're Little Bear, why don't we call it Ursa Minor Choir? And so, cool, she liked it. So we sang her music. But when she grew up in LA, I grew up in San Francisco, and we listened to sister radio stations. So while we would wait for people to get to rehearsal, she and I had this game where she would hum a line of a tune, and I had to come in with the words in the next line.
Oh, so, but when you say sister women's radio programs, it was...
No, just sister stations.
Oh, sisters, okay, sister stations meaning not women's stations.
No,
but-
yeah.
So, Dyke Tones, who came up with that name?
I did.
You came up with that?
Yeah.
Was that a daring thing?
Yeah,
The word
absolutely.
dyke being used in 1977?
Yes. It wasn't in Portland. Portland is very progressive.
Right.
In fact, there was full-blown recycling done in the 70s.
Yeah.
We're just catching up to it now.
Right.
Here. But Portland is a very, very progressive town, and the community there was vast and
So
amazing.
there was a large open community in 1977 in
Yes,
Portland, and that was
yes.
your base of support.
Yes.
So these women came together.
Yep.
Why
So-
did you decide to focus on 50s music?
Well, to finish the story.
Yeah.
So she would say, mention or hum a line, or I would, and the other person had to fill in the next line with the words. If you
Right.
didn't, you owed her a Coke. And when it got up to a six-pack, you had to pay up.
Yeah, okay.
So while we were doing that, another singer in the choir came in. People would come late all
Right.
the time. And she said, you guys ought to start a 50s band. And
Why 50s? Why?
because that's the songs we were singing.
Oh, I
50s and
see.
60s.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, all right.
And because we grew up at the same time
Yeah.
in the 50s. She in LA, me in San Francisco.
Right.
And I was sarcastic because here we are, we can't even get this choir off the ground, and you're saying we should start another one, And I said, yeah, right. We could call ourselves the Dyke Tones, And
So that was a joke,
it was.
and they all went for it.
Yeah.
And there were 8 of you.
Well, I'm sorry.
There were 8 of you.
Oh, there were from the choir there were all but 2, and then one woman's partner came in who was not in that choir, and another woman who we used to see at the coffee house all the time in Portland wanted to be part of it, so she came too. That made 8.
All right. So
Yeah.
when I did some reading on this, so you've got this group of 8, and
Mm.
you call yourself the Dyke Tones, and it was going to be 50s music because this woman recommended that.
50s and 60s.
Now, who were your inspirations at the time? Because one of the things I noticed is that each of you took on a male persona. I read that you either were going to do butch lesbians or femme lesbians because you felt that those were the only 2 options in the 50s for women.
That's right. There was no gay,
Right.
and there was no. It was only femme or butch. You
Okay.
didn't get a choice.
So who came up with who was the inspiration for the personas? Because we today know about gay men taking on, every drag queen, everyone says, okay, what was your mother's maiden name and your dog's first name? So all gay men have a name, or they can come up with a name, but you don't usually experience women doing that. And I was wondering, how did that go with feminists at the time when you were taking on, your name was
Chucky Linguini.
Chucky, a male kind of name, Linguini, you also had a female persona.
Cha-cha Linguini.
Right. Where did the inspiration for the names come up? Because you made up names, and I hadn't seen other women doing that, at least in what I'm reading. And you came up with whole personas that you all went to Dyke High, and you ended up working at Dyke Bowling
Alley.
Alley. You had a whole thing
Oh, yeah.
lined up.
Oh, yeah.
Probably more so that you could get into the person when you did the music than.
Well,
Well, what was the inspiration for it?
Sure. It's so simplified,
Yeah,
Brian. There's
all
no
right.
science to it. It was a bunch of people who loved the music. Many of us were Hispanic or Latin, and you might say we had a food fetish.
Okay, all right.
Naomi Little Bear, she wanted to be Chevy Chavez, but then the first, let's see, Frankie. Maya McNamara was the drummer,
Yeah.
but she wanted to be Frankie Macaroni.
All right.
Okay.
But were there other groups that did this that you're
No.
aware of, or were you the first What I'm going for is, were you the first lesbian group in 1977 to give yourself phony names? You know, because others, Maxine Feldman was always Maxine Feldman,
Yeah,
right?
they were stage names.
Right.
Yeah.
They were stage names.
Yeah.
For the sake of the 50s, right?
And
And I
for the
wore
sake
my
of-
Argyle socks and hush puppies for the sake of this interview from the
Thank you.
yeah. But so you took on these names. Did you get any negative feedback at
No.
all from any lesbian at the time?
No. My Chucky Linguini, I was called Chucky in high school.
Okay.
My name is Charlene.
Right.
People here call me Char.
Right.
But all through high school, I was Chucky, Charlie, just names that were given me.
Right.
In fact, one time in high school, one of my friends called me up and said, "Hey, is Charlie there?" And my mother said, "Who do you want, senior, junior, or the girl?"
So you just there was no inspiration beyond just your group for taking on these names, and there was no pushback. But what was it like for your folks, if I can briefly? 1977, your folks from a Latin background, having their daughter be the lead singer of a group called the Dyke Tones. What was that? How were they with that?
True confessions,
Yeah.
Brian. I was not out to my folks.
Okay.
My folks were still in San Francisco.
All right.
I had moved with a partner and our son from teaching school in Modesto, California in 1970 to where her parents had some acreage on the coast of Oregon.
Yeah.
And we lived there for 2 years, not getting enough work, both of us being substitute teachers there. Not enough work.
So here the substitute teacher,
Yeah.
right, takes on Chucky Linguini.
I moved to Portland.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
becomes Chucky Linguini.
Well, first, I again substitute taught.
Right.
Went to the coffee house a lot. Went to the women's bookstore. Made connections. Made just group. Always sang in groups.
Yeah.
From way back, Girl Scout back
Right,
then.
right.
And just sang in odd ad hoc groups at the coffee house. And then this choir formed.
Yeah.
And then gave birth to the Dyke Tones.
All right. Let's take a look at the Dyke Tones. So
Sure.
we have a little video of the Dyke Tones singing.
Okay.
3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, a rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, a rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, a rock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your bad rags on, join me, hump. We're gonna have fun till the clock strikes 1. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. When the clock strikes 2, 3, and 4, oh, you're gonna yell. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. When the clock strikes 5, 6, and 7, we'll be rocking 7 now. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Go, 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 around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock around the clock tonight. Come on, let's sing it, boy, let's sing it loud. Rock, 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 rock. Rock, 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 rock. Rock, 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 rock. Rock, 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 rock. Rock, 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 rock.
So tell me, so you look at that and you think what?
I think, wow.
Wow. Now, when was that one done? When was that?
That was probably 80, 79 or 80.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was
You-
way fun.
Yeah, and you had all these other alter personalities. You were mother inferior.
Yes, I
Yeah.
was the disciplinarian at the girls' school up the block.
Right. Now, would you create those roles and put them in the act? I mean, did you appear as mother inferior in your actual act? You did a lot of work in
Yes.
Provincetown.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
You were in Provincetown, Massachusetts, starting when?
83. Our band was brought, there was a drag queen, female impersonator named Bobby Calicate that played at the Pilgrim House.
Yeah.
He had his costumes made at a costume shop where one of the women in the band's partner managed.
Uh-huh.
She managed the costume shop. So she, Bobby said to the owners of the Pilgrim House, then Phyllis and Betty, and then soon thereafter Louis, a young man named Louis, about this band. So we sent her a promo packet.
Yeah.
And the story we learned way later was that she said, "Diketones? What the hell's a diketone?" And she threw it in the trash. But
She hadn't even
no,
looked at it.
No, but Phil, who owned the Gifford House at the time, the
Yeah.
club that's now called Purgatory, used to be Backstreet. He was sitting in the office with him. He says, "Give me that. I'll take a listen." And so she said, "No, no, no." So she didn't give it to him. And this is just a story that somebody who I became close to further on, we became
Right,
friends,
right.
Was there in the
So
office.
a gay man actually was very helpful in
Yes.
bringing this lesbian group
Yes.
to Provincetown to really entertain lesbians primarily. Were your audiences primarily
No.
lesbian? They weren't.
No, it's amazing. Well, the Pilgrim House is set way back on the property, and there used to be a long sidewalk that went all the way down. It was the driveway that went right up too, and there were, just like now on the property, there were different, it was a long bistro
Right.
with an awning over it.
Right.
Could eat outside, and then you went up the steps, and there was the upstage bar, and down the steps in the basement was the Madeira room where we played.
Oh, you played in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
For how long?
3 years, three
And then-
summers.
then-
6 nights a week.
Yeah, 6 nights a week?
Yes.
Is that how you made your living?
Yeah, well, no, then I would go back to Portland and be a realtor.
No, but 6 nights.
Oh, here.
Yeah, that's,
Oh,
you played the night and then you took the
Yes.
day off.
oh, definitely.
And you made enough money to live here at the time. It was cheaper in Provincetown.
We
in
were
the
only
70s.
here 6 weeks the first year,
All
and
right.
10 weeks the following year,
Right.
and then the third year, because of differences in philosophy, I moved the band to the Crown and Anchor.
Oh, all right. From the Gifford House to Crown and Anchor.
Mm-hmm. No, from the Pilgrim House.
Okay, so how long were you there?
You mean
At the
in
Crown
the-
and Anchor?
Oh, then we were there 85, 86, 87. 88, we moved to the Pied Piper.
Okay, but you've been here a long time.
Oh, gosh, yeah, yeah.
How many
yeah.
years did you play?
We started in 83, took a break in 92.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. We toured for 10 months in 88, 89. Took a break in 90, came back in 92.
Okay.
And
So kind of
Yeah.
how long?
Yikes, the last show was '04.
Okay, 04.
Yeah.
But you've had like 24 different people, have you? And how many
Oh,
people
no.
have gone through the group?
Oh, probably, at the time of the other interview that you listened to, there were 79. There are now 88.
88 people have been through the group.
88
Every
former
88
Dyketones.
former Dyke
Yes,
tones.
yes.
But Dyke tones till their death.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, any one of them would come back and do it now,
Okay,
I'm sure.
so do you feel that you got the recognition that you would like to? I know that you got an award from the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force for your work with the Dyke Tones in bringing to the community a voice that it didn't otherwise have. Did you have any competition when you were out there? There was serious women's music, Holly Near, Meg
Yes,
Christensen, but was there
absolutely.
anything fun and silly like
No.
yours?
No, not at the time. And we were the only out lesbian group, too.
None of the others were out?
No. They were at the women's music festivals.
Who wasn't out?
Let's see, there was a jazz group. Rhiannon was their lead singer.
Doesn't matter.
Alive
But
was
there
their
were a
name.
lot of women's groups that weren't out.
They were born the same year we were.
Right.
But they didn't. No,
So
nobody was out.
you put a face on being lesbian long before other women singers were doing that.
Oh, yeah, we
Except
did.
for Maxine Feldman,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Did-
And the woman who was part of Lavender Jane, who
Right,
then
right.
spun off on her own.
Right, Andrea Dworkin?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you, there are lesbians out there saying, "Oh my God, how do you know that?"
And he remembered
Gay men are
it,
not,
she did.
gay men are not supposed to know anything about women's
but you
music.
care.
Yeah, I do care. So tell me some interesting stories about the impact the group had on people's lives, because that's really what this is about, right?
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
sure.
you did it for fun.
Yeah.
You guys had a ball.
It was a release for
Right,
all of us.
for all
from
of
our
you
day
to do
jobs.
it,
Yeah.
and you dressed up. You had your hair slicked back. You all used Brill cream, right? Or you also dippity do.
It came out easier.
Yeah, I know dippity do and Brill cream. I did the whole spoolies to her head, right? So you had female and male personas,
We
and that
did.
changed between songs. Is that right?
Yes, we did 2 sets usually,
Yeah.
and whoever was butch in one set would be femme in the other.
Okay,
Just so
okay.
people could see the rounded personas. You know.
So that was pretty challenging and dramatic and forward thinking. I mean, here you are. If I mean, in some ways, there's a transgender element to that in terms of Butch Dyke at the same time, Butch Dyke and femme lesbian. And also role modeling for all the women in the room, who are falling in categories between those two or at either extreme.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of feedback did you get from people about that?
Well, the very first time we ever did a show
Uh-huh.
was 1977, and it was for this group in Portland wanted to have a women's club, a social club, and the only way they could do that, the only way they could have a private dance was to create a social club in Portland
Okay.
to legitimize having.
Right,
the
it's
other
like
sex
people
not
who
there.
had to form clubs in order to serve alcohol in some places.
Yes.
Right, so it had to be a
Yes.
private club.
And so they asked us, it was Enlightened Women is what they call themselves.
Yes.
They asked us, they knew that the group, there was a subgroup of Ursa Minor Choir, and they asked us if we would perform for that New Year's Eve dance.
So you started as a New Year's Eve.
We only started a month before.
And how many songs had you
We knew
learned?
6 songs, and we played them all 3 times
And
that
they were all
night.
6 songs, 3 times. Well, you started, and you didn't know how you were going to get received.
No. So here we are in the bathroom
Yeah.
of this warehouse
Right.
of a guerrilla theater group. They rented this warehouse, and we rented, or the social club rented from them this night.
Right.
And so we're in the bathroom slicking back our hair, and it's the first time we've ever.
How old are you at the time?
33.
33.
And I looked at the mirror and I said, "Oh my God, I'm my father," And somebody else was saying, "Oh my God, I'm my uncle," And we were
Right.
look, and it was kind of shocking to us.
Uh-huh.
And we were saying, this is a very PC era. It's the feminist movement. It's 77.
Right.
And we're like, are they going to throw stuff at us?
Because you were
Looking-
politically incorrect
Yeah.
and looking too male.
Yes,
Right.
yeah. And so we said, whatever happens, happens. If they freak out, we'll just say, it's us,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
forget
yeah,
it's
yeah.
us.
Yes.
So what we did was we went down into the produce and flower market early in the morning, like 4, and stole pallets. And we built the stage
Oh, wow.
out of 9 pallets. And so there we were. Then sleeping about it, we go on to perform. We come through the audience from the bathroom where we're using as a dressing room, and there you could hear all these things. Oh my God, who is that? What? And we just went up to the stage and started our first song,
Which
And-
was?
Oh my gosh, Run Around Sue.
Oh, I loved Run Around Sue.
But it was Run Around Rue.
All right.
Because Rue was the nickname of one of the singer's
Right.
girlfriend, and she was being a
Here's
little-
my story, it's sad but
That's
true.
it.
About a girl that I once knew.
That's
whose name
right.
was Rue in this song.
Run Around Rue.
So, real quickly, because we're going to run out of time,
Okay.
they loved you.
They
They
loved
went
us.
crazy, and you did it 3 times.
We
I
did the
read.
whole set of 6,
All
3
right,
times.
All right.
Yeah. Mm.
So, 2 questions. Highlight of your career, what was it? And when did your folks finally know, and did they ever see you perform?
9 years later, I came out to my mom, who promised me not to come out to my dad, or
Or he died.
yeah.
You're going to kill your
Protect
father.
the father.
Right.
And you know,
Even if you're
who
the
was
hair
gonna
slick
win?
back hair.
Yeah, right. Well, I didn't wear that at home, but I've always had hair like,
Yeah.
well, except in high school I had long hair. But if I don't look like a dyke, then who does?
Well, you're in New England now. I mean,
You're
everyone,
right.
who doesn't? So,
So what was my
highlight?
Probably, I have 2 I can name like that. One was the San Francisco Gay Pride stage, singing from the stage.
Oh,
to,
very
at
cool.
that time, 390,000 people
How cool.
in my city.
How cool.
And that,
As the
Just
Dyke Tones,
thinking
as
about
the
it.
fabulous
Oh, yeah,
Dyke Tones?
yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
very cool.
very,
Yeah,
very
exhilarating.
Right now, I'm getting chills telling
Yeah,
you about it.
Really cool. And then what else?
Another one was performing, 2 other ones, performing at, in New York City at the Palladium.
Okay. At a open, you had people paid to come in?
Oh, yeah.
And how many did you have?
It was produced by gay and lesbian producers.
Okay.
I never saw a wall go up before, and,
Yeah.
and
So this was
trippy,
fancy.
very
Yeah,
trippy,
yeah.
And the other one, we played one night.
We've made it now. The wall's moving, right?
My God, the walls.
Oh, my God.
One night at the Sahara Club in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
And I have pictures of the marquee.
Oh,
Fabulous Dyke
the fabulous Dyke Tones on the Sierra Club marquee.
No, at the Sahara.
Sahara,
Yeah,
yeah, very cool. And that was,
Again, it was produced by women producers
right, but it
there.
was open to the public.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're running out of time, but this is really fun. And I want to thank you for the courage. I know that your audiences were initially supportive people to begin with. You weren't doing this in Alabama, but you were putting a face on the issue for all of us. And I came out in '74, but if I had wandered into one of your concerts, that would have been pretty cool. And I'll bet you have heard from a lot of people in your life
Oh, yeah.
who said you gave me permission to feel joyful about my being gay or lesbian.
Many, many times. As a matter of fact, that's why I kept doing it.
Yeah, me too. That's why I
Because-
keep doing it too,
Yeah,
yeah.
because people my age, at the end of our show, we would run off the stage and just form a line, and people would, as they left, we would shake their hands and thank them for coming. And they would say, there was more than once a woman my age just quietly, tears streaming and shaking my hand and saying, thank you, this is my music, and I got to dance with my girlfriend tonight.
Yeah, first time.
Yeah,
Really.
she couldn't go to her own prom,
Really
not
cool.
without
Right,
faking it.
right.
And
Without some Brill cream.
No, she
I
couldn't
know,
go. Or
right.
She couldn't, you know.
We got to wrap this up.
All right.
But Char, Priolo, and the fabulous Dyke Tones, you guys fabulous. Thank you for your contribution to our community. And
My pleasure.
we'll just keep listening to that women's music and remembering how important it was.
Keep the music alive.
Keep the music alive.
Gotta have pride. Been around too long to keep it inside.